So let's talk about something that I think is on pretty much everyone's mind these days. How do we find some real, genuine calm in a world that just never seems to shut up? Well, today we're going to dig into some ancient but incredibly practical wisdom for doing just that, for finding a still mind.
You know that feeling, right? Where your mind is just a nonstop river of thoughts, worries, to-do lists. It's exhausting. And if you feel that way, you are definitely not alone. It's a universal human thing. But what if, and this is the big question, what if you could find a point of complete stillness right in the middle of that rushing current?
Now, the goal of these ancient practices is sometimes called the destruction of the mind. And I know that sounds a little intense, right? But don't worry, it's not as scary as it sounds. It's not about violence or force. It's more about gently letting the mind's constant chatter just dissolve back into the silent, peaceful place it came from, finally letting it get some rest. Ready to jump in? Here's what we've got on tap. We're going to start with why the mind is always searching for stillness in the first place. Then we'll explore two very different paths to get there, one that uses force and one that uses finesse. We'll unpack that with a really powerful analogy about a bull. Then we'll find out which path the great teachers say is the most direct route, and most importantly, how you can actually start using this stuff in your day-to-day life. And what's so cool about this is that it's not just some abstract theory. It actually comes from a real conversation between a seeker, someone just like us, and the legendary sage Ramana Maharshi. So this seeker basically asked what a lot of us are wondering. Hey, there are so many different spiritual paths out there. Isn't that just confusing? And it was the sage's answer to that very simple, very honest question that laid out these two clear, powerful approaches to finding inner peace. So what are these two major paths? They're known as yoga and jnana. Now, when we say yoga here, we're not just talking about the physical poses you might do in a class. In this context, it's about a path of controlling the breath. And jnana, which literally just means wisdom or knowledge, is all about controlling the mind directly. The thing is, both of these paths, yoga, working with the breath, and jnana, working with the mind, they both lead to the exact same place, a mind that's finally quiet and at rest. Think of it like this. They're just two different trails leading up the exact same mountain. So let's look at yoga first, the path of force. The whole idea here is that your breath, called prana or life force, is directly connected to your mind. I mean, you felt this yourself, right? When you get stressed or anxious, your breath gets all shallow and fast. So by consciously taking control of your breath, slowing it down through practices like pranayama, you can actually physically slow down your racing mind. Okay, path number 2 is jnana, the path of wisdom. Now, this one is different. Instead of using a tool like the breath, it goes to work directly on the mind itself. And its main tool is something called self-enquiry. It's kind of like you become a detective for your own mind, always turning your attention back inside and asking, wait a minute, who is this I that's having all these thoughts? Now, to really get the difference between these two approaches, to make it crystal clear, Ramana Maharshi used this brilliant, super simple analogy that you'll never forget. Here's what he said. Jnana is like subduing a turbulent bull by coaxing it with green grass, while yoga is like controlling through the use of force. That one sentence just perfectly sums up the whole thing. And you can see it right here. On one side, you've got this bull being held back, restrained by force. That's the yoga path. And on the other, you have a bull being gently tempted forward with something it actually wants. That's jnana. The difference in the energy is just obvious. So what does this actually mean for our minds? Well, using force, like breath control, it's like tying that bull to a post. Yeah, the mind gets still for a while, but that restless energy is still there, just waiting. The second you stop the practice, all those thoughts can come rushing right back. But coaxing it with grass, that's totally different. You're showing your mind a better option, its own natural state of peace. And when the mind sees that, it willingly lets go of all its agitation. It doesn't need to be forced, it just dissolves. Okay, so that raises the big question, right? Which way is better? Well, both paths are totally valid, but the ancient teachers have a pretty clear recommendation on which one is the most direct route. And the verdict is in. The path of self-enquiry, or jnana, is widely considered to be the shortest and the best means to a still mind. And why is that? It's because it doesn't just manage the symptoms, the endless thoughts. It goes straight to the root cause of all the mind's restlessness. So what is that root cause? It's this little thing called the I thought.
I mean, just stop and think about it for a second. Every single thought you have is built on it. I am worried. I need to do this. I am hungry. That feeling of a separate I, that's the one single source where every other thought and feeling comes from. And the real work is just to trace them all back to that source.
And this isn't some cold intellectual exercise. In fact, this path of wisdom is also seen as the highest form of love. The great teachers taught that turning your attention completely inward to find out who you really are, well, that's the ultimate act of devotion. It's where wisdom and love become the same thing.
All right, I know what you're thinking. This sounds amazing in theory, but how in the world do you actually do this in the middle of a crazy busy day? Let's break it down into some simple practical steps. It's really just a 3-step process. Okay, let's walk through an example. Imagine you're feeling that wave of anxiety hit. Step 1, just notice the I in that thought. I am anxious. Step 2, turn your attention inward and gently ask the question, who is this I that's feeling anxious? And then step 3, and this is the absolute key, don't look for an answer in words. Don't try to think your way to it. Instead, just follow the raw feeling of I back to wherever it seems to come from in your body and just rest there.
And here's maybe the most important part, the thing I really want you to take away. Your only job is to return. The key here is persistence, not perfection. Your mind is going to wander. That's what it does. And when it does, you've not failed. Not at all. Your one and only task is to gently, without any judgment, just guide it back to that question. You can do this anywhere, in a quiet meditation, sure, but also while you're waiting in line for coffee or even right in the middle of a really strong emotion.
What's so beautiful about this whole approach is that you're not trying to add anything. You're not trying to become some new enlightened person. It's really a journey of undoing. It's about gently letting go of that noisy, restless I so that you can simply rest in the deep, quiet peace of who you've been all along.
So I'll leave you with this one question to start your practice, right here, right now. Just watch your mind and see, to whom will your next thought appear?